Stephanopoulos. So you've written a book, The Situation Room, about the actual Situation Room, and there has not been a book written about it, to your knowledge.
That's what surprised me. There was one book about 20-something years ago about a certain segment of time in this room, but there hasn't been a comprehensive history. It was created by John Kennedy. When I heard that no one else had done it, because I had not done a book since my memoir about the Clinton days, I finally said, I'm ready to do this. And it was so much fun.
Did you even, I wasn't even aware of the fact that it was started in the Kennedy administration. Did you know that much?
I knew that, but we actually found out something as we were researching the book. Everybody thinks that he did. He created it after the Bay of Pigs debacle. But one of the things we found was someone had actually proposed it 3 weeks before, and it was only after everything got screwed up that he decided, fine, I'll go do it now.
Now, obviously, a lot of things that happen within the Situation Room are extremely confidential, top secret, I would imagine. Was it hard to get people to talk about it?
That was one of the things that surprised me the most. So once we got started talking to people, and we really tried to focus on the day-to-day duty officers in the Situation Room. And once you get one, then you get another, then you get another. We ended up interviewing over about 125 people over the course of the book, and I learned a lot of things. I spent a fair amount of time in the sit room during my time in the White House, and I'd studied presidents, but I learned a lot doing these interviews, and that's when it made it so much fun.
When you say you spent a lot of, when you were in the room, was it because there was an actual, for lack of a better word, situation? Was it crisis time, or did you ever go in there when things were just sort of low-key and laid back?
A little bit of both. You did some planning in the Situation Room for foreign trips and things like that, but no, the Oklahoma City bombing, we had lots of meetings in the Situation Room. All the things having to do, there was a war in Bosnia at the time, there were meetings after meetings there, North Korea, dealing with that, dealing with, a plane went down off the coast of Long Island. We spent 3 days there, trying to figure out what happened.
Were you guys bummed? Do you think people were bummed when Wolf Blitzer started calling his show The Situation Room?
Well, people think that's what my book is about. I hope I can rid them of that.
It was a huge mistake, because there's a giant picture of Wolf Blitzer. When I've been to the White House, everything is smaller than I think.
Well, this is the big thing. The Situation Room, when I was there, a long time ago now, was the most unremarkable room you'd ever want to see. It's like a small conference room in the Poconos. But I had the chance to go back. They just finished remodeling it this summer under President Biden. And it finally looks the way it's supposed to look in the movies. It is amazing now. You've got screens everywhere. They have screens that go from, offices that go from glass to shaded out at the flick of a button. They can clear all of the screens at any moment if somebody comes in an unauthorized way. And you feel like you're in the middle of 24 now.
That's so funny to think that someone would just stumble in and you'd press a button really fast.
No, that's the
Is this the tour? It used to be you have to go up with an eraser. Look at this. Did you, again, I would imagine you never want a crisis during your presidency. You also know there's no such presidency without a crisis.
And the crises that come into that room are the ones that make or break presidencies. You were talking about when you were doing the White House Correspondents' Dinner. That was the night before President Obama took out Osama bin Laden, and everybody was there from the White House, and they couldn't say a word about it, but they had to go through with the dinner because they wanted everybody to think things were just normal.
Do you think you need that room to have a place that is, quiet from the outside world and where you can discuss secret things? Or do you think it helps to have a room where everybody who goes in knows, all right, it's time to focus? Because there must be so much noise at the White House all the time. You must be juggling mentally 3-5 balls.
It's an excellent point. And there's really two different functions of the Situation Room. You have this, high-tech center where the watch officers spend all day taking in feeds from the entire world, and that's going on all the time. Then you have the conference room where people meet for the big decisions, and there is something about being in the room, no windows, it's called the Situation Room, that does focus your mind and make you think about the importance of what you're deciding, because any decision that gets finally to the Situation Room is the closest of calls, 51-49 decisions that could easily go wrong, no obviously right answer, and you need that kind of focus.
Well, it's a fascinating topic, and I'm so glad you wrote this book. Congratulations on it. Thanks so much for being back. That's George Stephanopoulos, everybody. The Situation will be published next year. It's available for pre-order now. Stick around. We'll be right back.